Have you toyed with the idea of writing a book? Maybe you have a dream in your heart to be an author, but you're not even sure where to start. Well, today I want to share with you some of the things that I've learned after writing my first book. Now, I signed a book contract with a major Christian publishing company this past summer, and I just handed in my manuscript this past week. And I just want to share with you some of the things that I wish I knew before I wrote my first book. And the first thing I would share with you is be patient. In other words, God put this dream in my heart to write a book like 20 to 30 years ago. But what he led me to do was to do some practices that I didn't realize it at the time, but it was really preparing me to write the book. One of the things he had me do was to manuscript my sermons. I'm a pastor, and a lot of pastors do bullet points for their sermons, but I actually manuscript my sermon. So little did I know, all these years, God was really preparing me to write a book because I've been writing for 25 years. The other thing is that God led me to index books in such a way that I could go back and find the information that I wanted to use in this book. So that would be my first recommendation to you, is to be patient. If one of the things you'll see in the Bible is that God will give someone an assignment and then it won't happen until years later. What's he doing? He's preparing them. He's preparing their character to match the assignment. Now, the next thing I would say is that all writing is rewriting. Your first draft is usually garbage. Accept it. And, I think about how much time I spent rewriting and refining the book. So I think one of the major barriers is that first draft, and just understand it's not going to be that great. But what you do is you keep rewriting it and refining it over and over. So the third thing I would encourage you to think about is be aware of what I would call well-intentioned procrastination. So when I had this dream of writing this book, it's almost as if I procrastinated in a well-intentioned way. Instead of just sitting down and writing, I would do all these other things that I thought were really helping me reach the goal. And in some ways they did. But as I look back now, what I was actually doing was kind of procrastinating. And one of the reasons I procrastinated is because I think I dealt with, well, who am I to write a book? Didn't Moses say something like that? Who am I to speak to these people? So just be aware of that you can be doing this procrastination and not even aware of it. Here's another thing. Develop a learner's mindset. Now, this is my first book, and I've just developed the learner's mindset in that I don't know how to do this, right? So I've handed in the manuscript. I don't know what's coming next. I've never done this before. But I'm looking at every phase as an opportunity to learn. In fact, what am I doing right now is I'm sharing with you some of the things that I've learned so far in this journey. So just look at it that way as you write your book. It's just I'm learning about it. Now, here's another thing. Number 5 is, what is your why? Why do you want to write this book? Now, for me, it's never been about selling a bunch of copies. It's not about making money. First and foremost, it's just obedience. I sense this call in my heart for many years now to do this. So that's the main goal, is just obedience to the call in my heart. Now, here's another thing. I once asked my wife, Tammy, I said, Tam, if I could pay people to let me do something to them, what would I do? And she said, you would pay people to listen to you talk about what you're learning. So a book is really just me sharing with the world what I'm learning. So what is your why? It's very important at the outset to define your why. Now, here's number 6. Platform is important. And this is the part of the the book world so far that I don't quite understand and maybe don't like as much. But platform is important. And what is platform? It's kind of how many followers you have and all of that stuff. And I look at it this way. Platform is really about influence. Do you have influence with anyone? And what I said is that my goal is to add value. Even this channel, what is the goal of this channel? My prayer is that when you watch these videos, you've picked something up, that I've added value to you in some way. And I think that if you add value to people, your platform will grow. Now, the seventh thing that I've learned is that, you need to find a need and offer a solution to it. Now, the type of book that I write is transformational nonfiction from a Christian perspective. And basically what I do is that I determine a need, and then what is the solution to it? Now, this book that I've written is on mental health and mental well-being. So, I remember reading when it comes to giving sermons that if you speak to broken hearts, you'll never lack an audience. You'll never lack an audience. So what is the need that your book is meant to solve? Okay, that's important. Now, here's number 8. Learn how to tell stories. Learn how to write stories. Jesus told stories all the time. The Bible is filled with stories. People love stories. Now, let me give you 3 little tips for stories. I call it 3D. D as in dog. Number 1, details. Don't just say it was a nice sad day. Say it was sunny with clouds and details, okay? Drama. What is the conflict? What is the difficulty that the character is trying to overcome? And then dialogue is show people interacting. People like to overhear other people talk. So drama, dialogue, and detail. Now, here's number 9. And number 9 is trust that God will help you. I've said that this is not me writing a book. This is God writing a book through me. One of the things that I often pray is, I can't, Lord, you can, and I trust you. So it's reminding you, if you say that you can't write a book, Henry Blackaby says, that says more about your faith in God than it in you, because if God's called you to do it, he will do it through you. Now, here's the final tip, number 10, and it's probably the most important, and that is find someone to keep you accountable. I am firmly convinced that the best decision I made in this process was at the beginning, I hired a book proposal coach. See, in the nonfiction, transformational nonfiction realm, you first have to, if you're going to go with a traditional publisher, you first have to write a book proposal. And then you have to find an agent, and then the agent pitches it to the publishing companies. But the best thing I did was hiring a book proposal coach. And this coach kept me accountable. The coach would give me assignments. Well, this is what you got to do this week, and this is what you got to... See, before that, I always would allow myself to talk me out of doing it. But hiring that book proposal coach, I think just gave me the momentum to keep going and going and going. So find someone who will keep you accountable. I'm right now in a fitness challenge, and it's my brother and I. And the thing that is helping me so much, that has got me 20 days into this being faithful, is my accountability with my brother. And so I just want to encourage you that if that's your goal to write a book, find someone who will keep you accountable. Well, guys, I'm still in process. Like I said, I've just handed in the manuscript and have no idea what the next steps will be. But I just want to share with you some of the things that I've learned so far in my journey. I thank you for joining me. May you love God and love your neighbor as yourself.